Okay, the motion graph activity has 2 pages. There's this one that actually has the scenarios written out, and this one. This is the one that has all the graphs that are all mixed up, and you're gonna cut these out. Once you have these all cut out, there should be, you'll probably wanna sort them. There should be 4 distance versus time graphs. Right there. 4 velocity versus time graphs. And 4 acceleration versus time graphs. Remember that each distance versus time graph has a corresponding velocity versus time graph and a corresponding acceleration versus time graph. Then you're looking at these scenarios. So like the first one says you're walking at a steady pace, then see a friend down the block and start running toward them. So that scenario has 2 portions to it. First, you're walking at a steady pace. Then you see a friend down the block and start running toward them and speed up. So you're gonna go through and you're gonna find the distance versus time graph that matches that scenario, the velocity versus time graph that matches that scenario, and the acceleration versus time graph that matches that scenario. Once you find those graphs, you'll line them up in that order, distance versus time, then velocity versus time, then acceleration versus time, because remember that the slope of the distance versus time gives us velocity, and then the slope of the velocity versus time gives us acceleration. So you want to have them in that order. Once you have matched together, I wouldn't glue anything down until you've done all the scenarios and make sure that you don't want to move things around. Once you have them down and you are fairly certain that you've got the right ones in the right spots, matched with the right scenario, then go ahead and glue or tape them down. But use a small amount of glue or tape so that if when we go over them you need to rearrange things and move them around, that's doable. So maybe just a little dot of a glue stick or something that's not super permanent. So there's 1, 2, 3 scenarios on this side. And then the 5th scenario down here, if we skip down to this one, after you match these 3 scenarios, you're gonna have 1 left. The one that you have left, tape those down, the distance versus time, velocity versus time, acceleration versus time, and then write a story that matches that. So just like we did the other day in class, make up some story that matches, describes the motion that's happening in those graphs. The last thing you're gonna do, these maybe should be flip-flopped, but they are what they are, is you're gonna write a story, whatever you want, have it have 2 parts to the motion. So first you do this kind of motion, then you do this. And then draw the graphs that's going to match that, whatever your story was, whatever your scenario was right there. And that's it.